Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're excited for another day. All right, we're about to give a good idea where we're heading so far with these majors, and that's going to be all we look at. Well, and we might do one or two, but I think everybody pretty much has the gist of where things are heading. So right now, you have to sit back and pick your renters to the downside and then we'll discuss where the bottom is coming in. All right, so like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can make sure you catch that video when we put out when we're going to be at the bottom or when we see a bottom. All right, but let's not waste any more time. We got to go. All right, as always, first up is going to be the S&P 500. And the S&P is moving into a down market. Still has this overhead pressure. So keep an eye on the S&P. It's probably going to try to retest this area. If this area doesn't hold up, then look out below in the S&P. Next up is Bitcoin, and we always got to take a look at our Coinbase. Coinbase is broken through our support area here, and then it hit a little bottom for some support, but it's got like a little bounce going on here. So let's keep an eye on this. Find our resistance area in here, and as we put in another bar to head lower as our overhead pressure continues to push down. All right, so Bitcoin is officially, well, not officially, but is officially heading into a seller's market. We're getting close to call it official on Bitcoin. All right, and then we have our Think or Swim Bitcoin, and the interesting thing about that one was that here, as you can see on our Bitcoin futures, we've closed that window, right? We got a window closed here. So is that going to be enough to say, okay, we can start turning around and head back up? I don't know. We'll see what happens. We got this double bar here. All right, so we might get a little bounce and then a little more pullback, and then we get another double bar. That might be our indication that we're going to at least run back up and try to retest this area. So keep an eye on Bitcoin and give it some time to make its adjustments. Next up is oil, and oil. We got our little range here that we're bouncing around in, trying to make this our bottom. Okay, but we do have this overhead pressure coming in, so keep an eye on that. Give it some time. Once this overhead pressure gets closer, we'll see if we're going to try to make lift off and blast up through it, or if we're going to, pause lift off and back down a little bit and find a better spot to lift off from. Next up is the E-mini S&P, and the E-mini S&P put in a double pin bar here also, so keep an eye on it. If it pops back up in here and we get our failure, we'll see where our next double pin bar comes in before we start to head back up and get through these winds. Now, these winds, be careful if they start to roll over and continue to help add pressure, like our these winds here are coming over to add pressure. Then we know we're going to continue to head lower. All right. If we go flat in here and we get our little bounce up and get through, then we may not have such an issue with the S&P. Keep an eye on that for give it a few days to see what it actually moves that it wants to make. But it is definitely heading into a bear market on the S&P. Next up is Ethereum in a bear market. No signs of stopping the fall. Okay, so short the. I would be careful with the green bars that come in at this point, not to get too excited and think that we got a reversal going. Okay. Um, Currently, it still looks like it's in the seller's market on Ethereum. Next up is gold. Gold's trying to retest this area again. It's trying to hang in there. We'll see what happens with this one. But it's still in this little channel right here, or range, and putting in the time to get some strength to come up and retest this. And we got our trade winds coming up to help get beneath these, get beneath our wings to help lift us up through this area. So we'll see what happens with that as time rolls. But gold is still in a bullish market. Next up is natural gas, which also is still in a bullish market. And it looks like it may have found some support here at $4.47. So keep an eye on that. Looks like we want to continue to go higher in the natural gas. So keep an eye on it, and we may have a little more support in this area right in here as well. So natural gas is looking good right now. We got this pin bar, which is our concern here, and you see we had that. That's a pretty big gravestone doji. We're gonna have some support up in this area here for natural gas, and it's still looking bullish on natural gas. Next up is the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ is officially, not official, is headed into a bear market. We got our trade winds are flat; they have not rolled over yet. So, and our overhead pressure is kind of far from right now. So let's see what happens. We may get a little bit of a bounce up into here, and then that pressure really lays on us and pushes down further in the NASDAQ. All right, so careful with the NASDAQ heading into a bear market. And we got silver, and silver is still bullish. And retesting this area. As you can see, it's been a failure. This might be our head and shoulders pattern right here, might be coming in. So keep an eye on that. I hate that pattern. I never really can see it. It seems like it. But, I mean, it is kind of true. Head and shoulders are, I like to call it the top of the mountains. Alright, we got our mountain. Going up our mountain, and we get to our peak, and then now we're rolling over, and now we're heading back down the backside of the mountain. So, let's see if that's the case on silver. Next up, the Dow. And the Dow is really trying to test this area here for some support at 41,000. Wants to test our trade winds for a minute, and then let the force of them push it down even lower. Definitely would be careful with the Dow. But trade winds are flat. We got this overhead pressure coming in, and there's a lot of congestion going on in here. So it may need some space to get back up through here. So it may come down even lower and get some space, some distance away from our trade winds in order to get underneath and blast back up through it. But right now it definitely looks like it wants to head into a bearish market on the Dow. So give it a couple of days and see what happens. If we get some separation here, then we know we're heading down lower. Okay. Next up is corn. And corn, if I ever saw a dead cat bounce, I would say this would probably be it. I mean, it hit the bottom and just shot right back up. So like a bouncy ball, somebody, I don't know, threw the ball up against the ceiling, and now here it's coming back down. And it hit the bottom down here and just bounced straight back up. So keep an eye on this one. I would definitely be waiting for that sell signal and maybe catch a short down on corn. But it is still in a bullish market, so I guess at this point it's anyone's game, but it's going to be a bouncy one, I think, for a minute before we get some decision which way we're really headed. Because that's just some crazy looking. I mean, if you look at that, it looks like a big check mark. I mean, if you look at it from a distance, you would be wondering what the heck is going on there. Let's try 6 months. I mean, look at that. And it just fell off. Somebody walked it up to the top of the mountain and just threw it over. There it goes, boom. So yeah, I'm expecting that ball to pull back at least half of that, back to there, and then maybe heading higher. But yeah, be careful with corn, because it looks like it's just a dead cat bounce for at the moment. But I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I guess you could just make a ridiculous move like that back up, but I doubt that's going to be the case. Alright, but our MACD is starting to roll over, so we may get a crossover here, but I think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback and then take off. Kind of like it did it somewhere else on here. I just noticed. Kind of did the same thing. It may be more like this one here, where it went up and then pulled back. That was only a few bars, but still, we'll see, because the overall market is as we know, is heading into a bear market, possible bear market. So we'll see what happens with that. But so far, it's disrespecting this overhead pressure. So we'll see what happens with corn. All right, so that's all I got for y'all this morning. I don't know. I'm going to talk about my boys HSY popped up and hit against this resistance area that was resistance before, and so it got rejected just like it did here. So keep an eye on that, see what happens with our trade winds, if they're going to support at the same support area here. Okay, but be careful with it, because that bar could be an indication that we're going to reversal and break back through our trade winds here in this area. We do have this underneath pressure coming in, and it may help roll all this over and keep going higher in Hershey. But I would take caution with this one because of the overall market. And then SBC, where'd it go? SBAC, still looking bullish, but in the pre-market, you got a nasty little pin bar down to about here, about $213. So that makes me that little test they ran makes me a little bit concerned for you. And this little doji here, even though it's green, may be concerning as well. Alright, so be careful with SBAC, okay? Because that pin bar pushing it down to here just is reminiscent of a test, like they're testing that area to see what it would take to get there, to get to that point. Alright, so be careful with this one on the open today. Today's date is 3/11/2025, and I'll make sure I put that on the I usually put the date on all of them anyway, so you can get an idea what was first, what was next, or when you might want to look at it. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. Hope you already liked, subscribed, hit the notification bell for the next one. And this look for the video, the next one on, probably won't put it out till this weekend, so I can get a better idea which way we're headed, if we're heading that way for sure. Unless I see a reversal coming in before then I'll come back and put out a video on that reversal. of the markets. But other than that, I probably won't put anything out again until this Sunday, just because right now you should already have everything plotted and planned on how you're going to move into this, what's starting to look like a bear market. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.